pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a review for you. I didn't expect that I would want to review this, but I do. It's called My Brother's Husband. It's volume 1 in a manga series by Gengoroh Tagame, published in 2017 by Pantheon Books. The translation was done by Anne Ishii. I didn't expect to love this as much as I did. I'm not a manga reader, and what I knew of the story, I thought it would be overly sentimental for me, and it was just this much, but not too much. I read it in about 2 hours or less a couple days ago, and been sitting with it ever since, and I'm loving it more and more. Like, it really leaves a marvelous aftertaste. You can tell that autumn is here. This just fell off the tree and into my bag. That's better than bird poop, isn't it? Which is what usually happens when I sit out here, but I'm going to make at least 3 videos sitting here, so we'll see how I do by the end. But the basic premise is, this guy is a straight Japanese guy. I shouldn't be putting my finger on his crotch. Yaichi. Interesting thing about Japanese names, when it ends with a vowel, well, I guess they all end with a vowel, so that's kind of stupid, but chi, especially chi, the short form or the colloquial form would be yaich. They don't pronounce the chi. And I notice a lot of my students, when they say Toronto, they say Toront. I say, no, you can't, you have to say Toronto. So they often leave off the O sound at the end of words too. Names, anyway, place names and people's names. But anyway, so Yaichi is this hunky, straight guy, and he had a twin brother whose name was, and I've been in Japan for 8 years and I still have trouble with R-Y-O. It's one of the few difficult syllables in Japanese. It's acceptable to pronounce it like L-E-O, so Leo. So this guy's name is Ryoji, but the Japanese person or somebody who's much more fluent than I would say something like Ryoji. Anyway, Ryoji was his twin and he was gay, and his brother didn't reject him outright. He was horribly uncomfortable when his gay twin brother came out to him years before, and they were never very close after that. And then Ryoji went to Canada, and I think they pretty much lost complete touch. And Ryoji met this Canadian guy whose name is Mike, and they got married. And then Ryoji died about a month before this story opens. And one of the things that I would fault the book on is we don't know what happened. Through the whole book, nobody, was it sudden? Was it an illness? It's not brought up at all. But anyway, Mike comes to Tokyo, looks up the brother, and the brother's a single dad, and this is his young daughter Kana, and she's a wonderful character, and she kind of melts everybody's heart, and Mike ends up staying with them, and he wants to kind of heal by finding out more about his late husband's Japanese life. So that's the basic premise, and when I heard about it I thought, could be a little too sickly sweet. And I mean, the other thing, in terms of amping up the sentimentality, the twin Japanese brothers lost their parents in a bus accident, and that's on page 1 when they were maybe teenagers. So it's a little Dickensian in terms of a little too much tragedy for one story, but it actually really worked for me. I'll put up some graphics of the characters from the internet because they're easier to see than if I do this. I think if this book had been set anywhere but Japan, or if it had been set in a Western country that was more evolved about gay stuff, LGBTQ issues, I wouldn't have liked it as much, but Japan has a long way to go. Japan doesn't have human rights of any kind, never mind gay rights. There's certainly no gay marriage. So I have a Japanese partner, and I'm not going to talk too personally because it's hard for me to talk about my side of the story without sharing his, and his is not mine to tell. on YouTube anyway, and it's mostly positive, right? But we're getting married. Kenji and I are getting married in Canada next summer. So his family, that's a big issue, complicated, difficult issue. I guess I will just say this one thing. He's not out to his family, so his family will have no knowledge that their son is getting married to a man in Canada. They just won't know. So that's bizarre, but that's just the reality of his life, his family, but of Japanese culture. I don't think I know. I think having dated, using that term rather loosely, but having dated or met or had interactions with hundreds of gay Japanese men over the last 15 years, I can think of I think I only know of one who was out to his parents. Only one out of those hundreds. So no, it's just a difficult problem now. I have trouble conceptualizing of homophobia in Japan. It doesn't really feel like homophobia. There's a discomfort that is kind of broader about being different in any way. But for example, and I think I can say this with confidence, not just anecdotally, but there's no anti-gay violence. Like there's nothing like gay bashing. But it's just a big secret, and people are so secretive. Japanese people, the culture is such a secretive culture. It's a different kind of closet. But most Japanese people that I know, including my partner, are completely closeted. And that's just the way their lives are. So this book really was beautiful in the way that it tackled those issues, because the straight guy, keep putting my finger on his crotch, it's totally accidental, I assure you. Yaichi, and he's so wooden and formal and uncomfortable with Mike, and the daughter takes to him right away, and that kind of helps Yaichi let down his guard a little bit. But the process through which, and this is very much a story that's going to be continued, I can't wait for the next volume to come out, but he thinks through all the stuff that he never really dealt with about his brother, very logically, matter-of-factly, and it's so Japanese, it's just perfect the way the story told. This is how the Japanese people I know live their lives and think through their lives. It's just beautifully done. And hugging, they talk about hugging. Japanese people don't hug, and that's true, I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but Kenji's a big hugger. And I've certainly met Japanese people, gay, straight, male, female, who hug, but it's still very much a rarity. This is such a Japanese story, and it's such an important story. Of course, it was originally written in Japanese, and it's widely available in Japan. Kenji had never heard of it, but then he doesn't read at all, not even manga. So, but I think it's fairly well known, and I think it's be groundbreaking for Japanese culture. So I'm so delighted this book exists, and I think if you like heartwarming stories, if you're interested in manga, if you're interested in gay stories or Japan period, this would be a book that manga that you might like. And like I say, only volume 1's available in English, but hopefully they will come out, because I think there's about 6 or more volumes in Japanese. And Gengoroh Tagame is in his mid-50s, has written prose novel or books in prose, graphic novels, and his artwork has been exhibited across Europe and America. I'm very interested to find out more about him. He's done some rather very erotic manga, which I might want to check out too. But anyway, My Brother's Husband. It's beautiful. That's it. Thank you.